Hello and welcome back to All About Community. When we went to break, I told you that we would have an outstanding, charming person, Dr. Paulina Van, who would be my guest. And the interesting thing about Dr. Van is that she is a doctor of nursing, and that is something that we don't hear about too frequently. But today we're going to learn a lot about that. So, welcome to All About Community, Dr. Van. How are you?
I am wonderful and glad to be here.
Now, where did you grow up? Do you
Yeah,
you,
okay.
you, you didn't grow up here in the Bay Area or anything, did you?
No.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in Panama of Panamanian parents. My grandmothers were from Jamaica.
Jamaica, man.
Yes, yes. And my grandfathers were both from Cuba.
Oh.
And we immigrated here when just as I started school.
Oh, great. I was in Panama about 2 years ago, down with a judicial council of the National Bar Association. I was in Panama City, and I tell you, I loved it. It is a great place. And you say you also of Cuban, you lived in, not lived in Cuban, but your grandparents of Cuba?
My grandfathers, both of them.
Yeah, but the most exciting thing about it is the Jamaica man.
Yes. Yes, I love the culture.
Okay, you say you came here when you were in high school?
No, and just starting school.
Oh, just starting school. So you don't remember too much about Panama.
Well, it's interesting. I've been back, of course. I've been
Mhm.
back a couple of times over the years, but I have memories. I have,
Oh, okay.
yeah, every now and then I have memories of my
And
country.
okay, and where when you came to the United States, where did you reside at that time?
In Bedford-Stuy in
Oh.
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Yes, and I went online to look at my neighborhood recently, and it's almost unrecognizable
How
in a
did,
good way.
yeah. How did you end up with an interest in the health profession? Um, you just
I love telling this story.
yeah. Okay, tell the story,
well,
but be brief.
I promise, because I'm a storyteller. My grandmother lived with us. She immigrated with us, and she was always home when we came home from school. And that day we couldn't get in, and she had a stroke. We finally got in and found her. She had a stroke, and she was taken to the hospital. And in the '60s, children weren't allowed in the hospital, but my mom convinced the nurse to let me in, and I was able to stand in the doorway of the long wards, and I watched the nurse. The room was dim, but I watched the nurse, how she cared for my mom. I didn't know she was a nurse. I didn't know what she did.
So that was your first introduction into healthcare,
Yes.
and it had, I suppose, a lasting impression on you.
The gentleness, the way she comforted my grandmother. I said mother earlier, but the way she comforted my grandmother. My grandmother was in a coma, and she spoke to her. She gently, touched her face, and I said, whatever that is, I want to do that when I grow up.
And then you went. Where'd you finish high school? Was it in New
It was
York?
here. It was
Oh,
here in St. John. No, St. Oh, can't remember it now.
No problem.
It's in San Francisco.
Oh,
it's
okay.
close, like St. John Ursuline.
Okay, so you came out to California. All right, and you received your undergraduate degree from where? USF.
From USF, yes, in the mid-'70s.
Well, you don't have to tell us the date
Oh,
because
okay. All right.
in mid-'70s you were still a baby.
Well, I graduated in the mid-'70s.
All
from
right.
USF, and started my career at Kaiser, San Francisco.
And how long were you there at Kaiser?
I was actually there almost 10 years.
10 years.
But I only practiced clinically for 4. I went right into leadership. It seemed like every place I landed, I became the manager or leader.
Oh, and then at what point did you decide that you wanted to go back and pursue an education beyond I guess it's a BS?
BSN.
BS.
I was working at Kaiser San Francisco
Okay.
and got promoted to a house supervisor or the administrator for on the off shifts, and I realized that I was able to do the job, but I didn't know why I was making certain decisions or able to resolve conflict. And so I went back and earned a master's degree in nursing administration from UCSF.
And you didn't really stop there. You decided to do something that very few, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, very few black people accomplish, and that is to achieve a PhD. I believe it is a PhD in nursing.
Yes, yes, I
No,
did.
no, no. Now explain that.
After I left the hospital, I did a number of things. I opened a home health agency, and then I went to work for the state. And one of the jobs I had for the state of California was a nurse consultant. And I worked with health officers in the health departments from my area was Marin through San Benito County. And what I learned during that job or became aware of was that African American women, even when you level the playing field in terms of the factors that cause pregnancy loss, they lost their pregnancies and babies at higher rates than any other rates.
And that's something that we're going to talk about for a moment when we return from break. We have to take a break. I don't know whether we should take a break, but we're going to take a break. No choice. Don't touch that remote. We will be right back with All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris, and my guest is Dr. Paulina Van.